Today we're looking at Epicurus, and just like when we spoke in the last lesson about the Stoics, we're going to split his ideas up into physics and ethics. I'm like Epicurus a lot, the same with the other guys as well. I like them all for different reasons, but it seems to me that this guy is a very down-to-earth guy, and what I mean is he isn't perhaps as pretentious as other philosophers, and he seems to bring philosophy down to earth, and I hope I can show why that is. So firstly, looking at his physics, he's very much an atomist. He read Democritus, one of our previous philosophers, and he thought that this was a very strong argument, clearly, because he spends a lot of the literature which we have left from Epicurus, some of his writing, most of it is devoted to physics, in particular to atoms, and in particular to how atoms, the idea of atoms and void, can explain a lot of natural processes. So he starts off by telling us that nothing comes from nothing. I hope you remember that this was Parmenides who first came up with this idea. Now notice that the Stoics, Epicurus, most of the ancient philosophers after Parmenides as well, they all seem to agree with this Parmenides discovery that nothing can come from nothing. And I want you to remember that this is the opposite to what people who follow the modern scientific model, it's the opposite to what people believe nowadays, because nowadays we believe there was a Big Bang and that everything came from nothing about several billion years ago. Everything came from nothing. So now we believe the opposite to these ancient sages. Secondly, he goes on to explain why there must be bodies and void, and one of the reasons he mentions is that sense perception demonstrates that movement is certainly possible. Now, if movement is possible, he concludes there can't only be bodies, there must be void if movement is possible. Movement would be impossible without some kind of void, some kind of space for the bodies to move into, and so there must be atoms and void, bodies and void. And you'll notice that sense perception is very important for Epicurus. He believes that it's the most important, the most direct way of knowing the truth. So his epistemology, it champions sense perception. This is different from Parmenides, who you may remember was an extreme rationalist. He believed that sense perception was deceitful. He didn't believe our senses told us the truth. He believed that through the principles of rationality we could directly discover the truth simply by applying logic and reason. Number 3, some bodies were compounds of atoms, so they weren't just all elements. Some were compounds of atoms, which is like modern ideas. However, I would like to add that the soul and gods were both things which Epicurus believed existed, but they were both things which Epicurus believed were made of atoms. The gods were made of atoms, the soul was made of atoms. So it's a very different idea to what these words mean nowadays. Another thing which he mentioned was that the totality is unlimited. The number of atoms is unlimited, and the magnitude of the void is unlimited. So for Epicurus, the universe has no limits. This was an idea which, again, was quite widely believed at the time. You may remember